The divorce papers were already signed on his side of the table when the courtroom door opened, and in that single moment, his entire world collapsed, because the woman he had sworn never to love again stood there, her hand resting on a 5-month pregnant belly he knew nothing about. Ethan Hale had imagined this day 1,000 times, but never like this. In his mind she would arrive cold and distant, maybe thinner, maybe tired, maybe angry. He had rehearsed his indifference, prepared himself to feel nothing. Divorce was supposed to be an ending, clean, final, quiet. But when the door creaked open and Maya stepped inside, the air in the room changed. She looked different. Not just older or tired, but heavier in a way that stopped his breath. Her coat was loosely buttoned, her posture careful. And then he saw it. The unmistakable curve beneath the fabric. His eyes locked there before his mind could catch up. Pregnant. The word slammed into him like a collision. His heart thudded so loudly he was sure the judge could hear it. 5 months, maybe more. He knew, he had grown up around sisters, nieces, life. This was not new pregnancy. This was time. Time she had lived without him knowing. Maya did not look at him at first. She kept her eyes on the floor, each step toward the table slow, deliberate, as if the weight she carried was more than physical. When she finally sat across from him, she placed one hand over her belly, the other gripping her purse like a lifeline. Ethan's voice failed him. All the anger he had carried for nearly a year evaporated, replaced by shock, confusion, and something dangerously close to hope. "Maya," he whispered before he could stop himself. She flinched at the sound of her name. The judge cleared his throat, unaware that 2 lives had just shattered in silence. "Are we ready to proceed?" Maya nodded. Ethan didn't. His eyes never left her stomach. Their marriage had not ended with shouting or betrayal. It had ended with silence. Misunderstandings left unspoken. Pain swallowed instead of shared. When Ethan lost his job and spiraled into quiet despair, Maya tried to hold them together, but he pushed her away, convinced she deserved better. He thought leaving her was an act of love. What he never knew was that on the day she packed her bags, she was already pregnant. Maya had waited. She had hoped. She had told herself she would speak when he softened, when he healed, when he looked at her again the way he once did. But days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and the distance grew wider than her courage. Now she was here to end it. The judge began reading the terms. Ethan barely heard a word. His mind raced through impossible questions. Was it his? Had she moved on? Why hadn't she told him? Every scenario hurt. When the judge asked if there were any final concerns, Ethan stood abruptly. His chair scraped the floor, echoing like a gunshot. "There is," he said, his voice shaking. "That child." The room froze. Maya finally looked at him. Her eyes were glassy but fierce. "The child doesn't change why we're here. It changes everything," he replied. Her voice cracked for the first time. "Not when you stopped listening." Silence fell again, heavy, aching, unfinished. The judge postponed the final ruling, citing new circumstances. As the courtroom emptied, Maya gathered her things. She moved slowly, carefully, and for the first time Ethan noticed how alone she looked. Outside, rain began to fall. "Maya," he called after her. "Please, just tell me one thing." She paused but didn't turn around. "Is the baby mine?" She closed her eyes. When she answered, her voice was barely a whisper. "Yes." And with that single word, the past, the pain, and he thought the shock of seeing her pregnant was the worst moment of his life, until he learned the truth she had carried alone, a truth that would force him to choose between pride and the kind of love that costs everything. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat in his car outside Maya's apartment building, rain streaking down the windshield like tears he refused to shed. Every memory replayed differently now. Every argument, every silence, every moment he chose distance over vulnerability. By morning, he understood one thing clearly: love isn't proven by leaving, it's proven by staying. Maya didn't answer the door at first. When she finally did, she looked exhausted. "I didn't invite you," she said quietly. "I know," he replied. "I'm here because I failed you." That broke her. Years of strength cracked open. She stepped back, allowing him inside. The apartment was small, modest, filled with baby books and folded clothes. Evidence of a life she had been building alone. She told him everything. How she had fainted one morning and gone to the doctor alone. How she held the ultrasound picture in her hands and cried in the parking lot. How she wrote him messages she never sent. How she convinced herself that protecting the baby meant protecting it from disappointment. Ethan listened. He didn't interrupt. For the first time in their marriage, he truly listened. "I didn't want a part-time father," she said. "I wanted a man who chose us. Every day." He knelt in front of her without thinking. "Then let me choose now." She shook her head. "It's too late." "Then let me prove it's not." The weeks that followed were not magical. They were messy, awkward, painful. Ethan went to every appointment, read every book, sat quietly when Maya needed space and spoke only when invited. He learned that rebuilding trust isn't about grand gestures, it's about consistency. One night, as they sat assembling a crib in silence, Maya suddenly laughed. A soft, surprised sound. "You're terrible at following instructions," she said. He smiled through tears. "But I'm not leaving." That was the moment everything changed. Months later, in a delivery room filled with fear and hope, Ethan held Maya's hand as their daughter took her first breath. When the nurse placed the baby in his arms, he understood something he had never been taught. Love is not about being perfect. It's about being present. The divorce was never finalized. Instead, they chose counseling. Healing. A new beginning built on honesty instead of pride. On the day they brought their daughter home, Maya watched Ethan cradle her gently and whispered, "I'm glad you stayed." He looked at both of them and answered, "I almost lost everything because I thought love meant letting go. I was wrong." Some endings are not meant to end. Some shocks are invitations. And sometimes the moment that breaks you is the moment that teaches you how to love, fully, bravely, and without running away. Final message. True love isn't tested when things are easy. It's revealed when staying is harder than leaving.